I'm carrying on with my 50mm challenge, but I've moved to a wooded area. Why not come with me and see what we can find? Well, good afternoon, and you find me once again out and about in the Lake District, and we're going to carry on from the last video with a 50mm challenge, but I've just come down the Borrowdale Valley a bit. I'm going to go through some wooded areas to see what we can come up with. So we've parked at the Bowder Stone car park. Going to walk to the Bowder Stone and then round the fells and wooded areas round there and King's House, etc. I have got my GPS with me, so we'll put a map up at the end to show where we've been. The only additional thing, I have some old filters, some coking filters. So I dug those out and managed to find a 52mm thread that will go on the front of the lens, and the holder will actually take the case filters that I've got. So we have actually now got some filters. The only one that it won't hold is the case polarizer, but I've brought the coking polarizer with me should I feel the need to use one, so that should help. So we'll carry on, we'll see what we can find, and we'll see you a little bit later. Right, well, we've come up with our first composition. I'm not totally convinced about it, but we'll see. You can see in front of me there's this trees, bushes or whatever with these very pale, I don't think they're quite white, but very pale flowers. Somebody might be able to tell me what they actually are, but I'm not very good at identifying flora or fauna for that matter. So there you can see the camera. So if we come over to the camera again, obviously we've got the 50mm lens on, and what I'm going to do, I'll turn the video on the camera and we'll explain what we're doing. So yeah, alright, so that's the video on now. So you can see we've got the trees and the bushes there with the white. To the naked eye they do stand out quite well, but on the back of the camera they don't seem to stand out as much as I'd have hoped. I've got to get used to the difference between how the camera sees things and how my eyes see things. My eyes are far superior to the camera in many ways, maybe not in others, but in many ways. So yeah, you can see that. Now that I was trying to decide, I was hoping it was just one sort of tree, but it seems, if you look through the video camera, we look at it, it goes quite a way along. And obviously for this challenge I'm trying to take individual images with the 50mm lens. Somebody did suggest, following the last video, well, you could just take the individual shots and stitch them together, which yes, I could do. There's not a problem with that, but I have a feeling that the spirit of the challenge is just to take individual images. So what I've done here, you can see there's this tree on the right hand side of the frame, so I'm using that as a sort of break point. So I'm doing the bushes from the tree across there to where they finish, and then obviously we're into the greenery. It's just that the colour to my eyesight just stood out quite a way before I got here, and I was wondering, what is that colour? It's not the actual Bowder Stone, is it? Which obviously it isn't. So I mean, and that's the image. Obviously, just to say again, many of you know this, that the video format is 16:9, whereas the actual image taken with the camera will be 6:4, which means that it's slightly thicker, so the top bit, there will be more at the top and a bit more at the bottom. So that's the image. I have already taken it. We'll turn the video off there. So yeah, it's quite nice. And the Bowder Stone, I can just about make it out in the trees. It's just up there. Our videos we go past, but I wasn't going to stop at the Bowder Stone. I have done a video in the past, I can't remember how long ago, about going to the Bowder Stone and taking some images, and then we went further on. So maybe I'll put a link to that in the top right hand corner of the video, just a link to that video. So yeah, we'll have to see how this comes out. Maybe in post-processing we can subdue the greens quite a bit and maybe just bring out the colour. Well, we'll see what it's like. It's always difficult looking on the back of a camera and the screen there, even but whichever one's best we'll put up on the video, and then we'll head on past the Bowder Stone to see what else we can find. So yep, we'll see you a little bit later. Right, well, we haven't come much further. We've come up with another composition. Again, how good it is, I don't know. Woodland is not one of my strong points, but you can see down there is the path, and we've followed this wall up. And what attracted me was this big stone, and I thought, yeah, that might be quite nice. But I've come across here, and you'll see there's this fallen tree there, and then there's the wall behind, and obviously this would be classed as is it temperate rainforest, because there's a lot of moss. So what I'll do, as with the other one, we'll just we'll turn the video on the camera, and right, yeah, that's now recording. I just want to explain. So what I've tried to do, and so you can see here in the corner going, that's the fallen tree, which is a sort of leading line which leads to the wall, and the wall's along there, and we've got the big rock there covered in moss, and then we've got some tree trunks behind, just to give what almost I see as a typical Lakeland fellside woodland scene. So you've got the fallen trees, you've got the moss, you've got the rocks, and I just quite like it. Again, it's at 50 mil, so yeah, I'm getting used to now working out how close or how far I need to be with the 50mm lens. So yeah, and the rock, I forgot to say, is possibly sort of, there's a third there and a third there, so it's possibly on the thirds there. So yeah, we'll see how it looks like in post-processing. Hopefully it won't need too much. So yeah, we'll just turn the video off on the stills camera. But yeah, as I was coming along, this is very uneven, this ground. I don't know whether you can see, I don't know whether I can zoom in. In there's quite a lot of daffodils, but it's obviously too late that you've just got the leaves, and I could see the odd dead head. So yeah, spring is springing, and if I'm not careful, it'll have sprung before I've captured any images. There are, I mean, if I just show you there where the bag is, there are 1 or 2 bluebells poking through as well. I mean, I'm aware in some parts of the country people have already been photographing bluebells, but that tends to be in the further south and that. So here in the north we're a little bit behind. So yeah, I mean, there are things poking up. I mean, if we just yeah, you can see there's the bracken is starting to, the ferns, bracken, whatever you want to call it, starting to pop up and starting to uncurl, and that, so that won't be much longer before that's coming through. Obviously you can see there's lots of old dead bracken here. So yeah, we just need to keep an eye on things and get out and capture things as they happen. Otherwise it'll be summer before we know it, and we'll have missed spring. So yeah, anyway, I've taken a couple of slightly different images. Whichever the best it will put up, and we'll see you a little bit later. Right, we've climbed up onto the top of this little summit, peak, whatever. I'll put the name of it on the video. I have looked at the map, but I just need to work out exactly which one it is. So yeah, but we get a great view from here. I mean, we're looking straight across at, let's zoom in at it, Castle Crag. Now that is the lowest Wainwright. It's not even 1,000 feet, and I don't know whether you can see. I can actually see with my own eyes from here. Whether you'll be able to see it on the video, there is a sort of war memorial on the top of there that was put up after the First World War, and there is a ceremony every year on Remembrance Sunday, and the last few years I've been there, apart from but there was one where I was on a workshop, so I wasn't in the area, but if I'm in the area, I go there, and I can actually just about see the memorial. If I can see it on the video, I'll circle it. It's just the screen on this camera is very small, but once I get it on the computer, I'll be able to tell whether you can see it. I mean, it's not much more than a dot, so, and yeah, you can see up there in towards Borrowdale and then up into the high fells. And the big one there, if I'm not much mistaken, is Glaramara. And if we come down and we zoom out, you can see the River Derwent there that comes through Borrowdale and ends up going into Derwent Water, and then comes out the other side and eventually goes into the sea near Workington. So the other thing I was going to mention, on the way up here, I did take a couple of handheld images that hopefully I've put up. One was a sort of general scene with some nice green, I think the silver birch trees and Glaramara behind. I thought it was quite nice. And then I thought about how about trying some, for want of a way of putting it, macro photography with the 50mm lens. So there was a sort of fern bud, and first of all I did it with just a straight lens. Put it on the closest focus, left it on manual focus, and then just, it was a handheld, but I just moved myself slightly closer or slightly further away till I could see it was in focus, then took the images. And they were looking all right, but what I did try, and whether I put it into the we'll see how the look, would put it into the challenge, I put, I think it's a 6mm extension tube on the lens. I'd have to confirm that, and took some more images so I could obviously get a lot closer. So we'll see how those come out, and I'm not quite sure where we're going now. Just having a wander around, seeing if we can come up with any more images. It's starting to, the light's beginning to fade a bit. It is quite cloudy, which doesn't help. So yeah, we'll have a wander around, see if we can find anything else as we sort of try and head back. I'm not quite sure whether there is a path, because we're sort of parked down that way, whether there's a path this way without going right over the top, or whether I just need to go back the way I've come. I'll look at the map, we'll see what we can see, and whatever happens, we'll see you a little bit later. Alright, having looked at the map and the terrain, I've decided to more or less go back the same way I came, going on a slightly different path. We've come from up there, and the path goes round here and then heads down that way. But as I was coming under this tree, I mean, initially I was looking, I don't know what's made that, but there's a bit of a hole there. Something's been digging out with it. It's foxes, badgers, rabbits, I don't know. I'm not an expert on these things. So, and then I noticed on the tree, and I don't know whether, maybe if I zoom in, you'll be able to see this. The sort of little flecks of lighter green, and I didn't know whether there were buds or not. So I tried initially to get the camera put the tripod down there to get close, and I thought, nah, this isn't working. And then when I just swung to my left here, you see the trunk is just covered in them. And I'm not sure whether they're part of the tree or something that's growing on the tree. I'm sure somebody out there who's more knowledgeable would be able to explain quite well what they are. So I've taken captured some images. I mean, if we look at the back of the camera, that's the sort of image we're talking about. Now, whether I stick with that or whether I crop it to, certainly the width is fine, whether I crop it to, because that's 4x6 to 4x5 or even a square crop, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I just find it fascinating, and hopefully on the image you'll be able to see all the, if I zoom right in, as far as this will go, I don't know whether you can see, there's just these little bits of very light green bordering yellow in that, and well, I just don't know what they are. I just thought it looked quite good. Time's marching on now, so we'll head back. Whether we find any more images or not, I'll just get onto the road and then head back to the van. I'm not quite sure, but either way, we'll catch up with you a little bit later. Right, we're back down onto the road now and heading back towards the van. Although we are going to take the footpath past the Bowder Stone again, rather than go back all the way on the road. The main reason for that is it's shorter. It doesn't particularly go up much, but it is shorter than staying on the road. And yeah, you'll have seen as I was coming down, I did stop and take one more handheld image that was of a very dark green tree, surrounded by lighter coloured trees, etc. So not quite sure what sort it was, whether it was something like a hawthorn. As I say, I'm not very good when it comes to flora and fauna. So yeah, but it's been a great afternoon. I need to get into the woods more and get to understand what works and what doesn't work. So yeah, but yeah, we've got quite a variety of images today. So we got I'm trying to think what the ones that we took. There was the first one of that blossom or whatever on whatever sort of tree that was. That was quite good, and hopefully that will come out. And then there was the one of the woodland temperate rainforest type one with the boulder covered in moss, the fallen tree that was the leading line, and the wall behind, which was quite nice. And then some handheld shots. There was the sort of general scene with the tree, and then overlooking with the Borrowdale valley behind, heading south into the big fells. Then there was the attempt at macro of the fern bud. If that's bud, probably isn't quite the right word, but anyway, whatever it's called, the fern. Then there was the one of the growth on the tree. Now, whether it was very small leaves or whatever that were growing on the trunk of the tree, or whether it was some parasite type plant that was growing on the tree, I'm not quite sure, but that was interesting. And then there's the final one as we came down of the dark tree with all the lighter trees round, and the Borrowdale Valley going into the distance. So yeah, quite a variety of images, and I think I'm starting to get to grips with the 50mm lens. And years ago when I had a film camera, I probably only had to start off with a 50mm lens. I was very much used to it. But I must admit, the last handheld image that I took, I had to walk a little bit, but working out where to stand, I thought I was pretty close to start off with, so that was quite good. So yeah, and having sorted out a way to get some filters, we didn't actually use any filters today. If anything, it was the other way. I was up in the ISO, which you'll have seen, because I give the extra information with the images, because it was quite dark, particularly for handheld images. There's a sort of minimum type shutter speed. And the one is 1 over the focal length. So if you've got a 50mm lens, you should have a 50th of a second. And obviously stabilization can help with that, but this 50mm lens, which is, I would imagine it's quite a cheap one, as I had mentioned, I got it free, doesn't have any sort of image stabilization. So yeah, but if you've enjoyed the video, and if I don't think I've already said this, please click the thumbs up, it's a great help. And if you like what I'm doing, why not subscribe, because subscriptions do really help the channel. As I mentioned in the last one, we have got an aim of trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of June. So why not help me? Be much appreciated. What is even more appreciated is comments. Any comments, whether good, bad, questions, just saying you enjoyed it, etc. Please do comment. And talking of comments, I have seen one I haven't responded to it yet. It only came through as I was sort of setting off to come down here. I talked about being envious when I said on the last video I hadn't travelled very far, just to because of time constraints and whatever, to do the video. And to a certain extent today's the same, but I am aware I'm very fortunate that I live in such a wonderful and beautiful place. Sometimes can get a bit blasé about it, but yeah, to live here, there are some pluses and minuses, but be able to disappear out into scenery like this and get images, some more stunning than others depending on where you go. But I am very fortunate. I am well aware of that. So yeah, I think on that note, I'm not quite sure where we'll be next. Having said being very fortunate in the Lake District, I do plan on going to other places this year. Maybe what I have in mind is possibly getting up to parts of Scotland. But we'll see, because over this week and the weekend we've got family up. It's the Easter weekend, so I'm not quite sure. But we'll stop waffling there and we'll see you on the next video.